with numbers.
You know, you're so organized. I see it every year. You have like everything
I've been waiting for somebody,
Yeah, I'll
to
look
make
for
it.
like
The warning signs say sleeping folks.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I guess we are waiting. 7, and then I guess we are ready to go. Because timekeeper is here. We are just waiting for Mr. Dimas. Yes. We are ready to go. Yeah, so we are just waiting. Thank you so much for stepping up.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I can't believe y'all had a tripod, so.
Oh, hey, I wouldn't know. But
Yeah.
maybe, but we do have 7 judges, so yeah, I think that they have plenty of questions. The other teams, so we're asking if they can ask the questions.
Yeah, no throwing.
I try to make
Alright, I don't know if you want to start or if you want to wait.
Next time.
Don't speak in certain rooms where
Unique team.
so
Get it.
I could, yes. I shouldn't go. See, so many people leave at this point, but they are losing on the experience and learning also, yeah, because you can get ready for the next year. I was like, that's right. Yeah.
That's the plan.
back strong next
Yes.
year.
Yeah, like Sophia, she competed last year. She was not selected in the finalist. And she's here now.
All right, we're ready.
All right.
Action.
So just start right here. Yeah. Hello, I'm Sophia.
I'm Mohammed.
I'm Beagle.
And I'm Umu, and our intervention is called Carretera Segura, which means safe roads. So to give a bit of background information through culture, mortality, and morbidity, and statistics. First, through culture in Granada, the culture is very faith-based, with about 58.5% of its citizens practicing Catholicism, and the remaining 21.6% being Protestant. In terms of education, primary education is required and free through the government. And then in terms of the culture on the roadways, there is no form of like safety on the roadways, with the cyclists, pedestrians, and vehiclists all crowding the same dangerous lanes. So in terms of mortality and morbidity, it is the 9th most severe cause of mortality vehicle accidents are, and it is the 10th largest cause of morbidity with about 47,000 healthy years of life lost annually. And you can see how that compares to other chronic diseases and illnesses. So here are some other statistics that we use for our intervention. Phone usage is about 90%. There's mandatory vehicle insurance for anyone who wishes to uphold a driver's license. And primary school for urban attendance is about 94%, while the total adult literacy rate is 78%.
So at Granada Segura, we identify with 3 specific populations that we would like to implement our intervention. That includes pedestrians, motorcyclists, and vehiclists. And the reason we specifically chose this target, considering pedestrian, is they do make up a large amount of the mortality rate, including 33% of all traffic deaths. And children are more particularly vulnerable just because where they are cognitively, as well as their education exposure. And they are the 4th most cause of death with vehicle accidents. And for motor vehicles, they do make up 26%, so 26 with pedestrian combined, that makes up 50% of the mortality rate. And this has a large part in due because of the infrastructure that is of the country.
All right, so our 5-year plan is going to focus on 3 different areas, right? We're going to have our telematic device and mobile app, which is really exciting. It's our most innovative idea. Then we have primary school education as well as policy change on a government and community level. So for our first year, we do have it split up into two periods. We have for the first 6 months, we're going to develop our mobile app. And now this is what's going to be the biggest change towards driving behavior within Granada. So when it first welcomes you, you're going to have car mode, motorcycle mode, pedestrian mode, and game mode. The game mode is more geared towards younger children so that they can play these pedestrian safety games so they have some sort of idea of how to act on the road. The car and motorcycle mode is what you choose at the beginning when you set up the app. It'll customize your notifications based on that. And pedestrian mode will automatically detect when you're walking. And this is all going to synchronize with a telematic device, which is inserted into an OBD port within the car. Now the mobile app itself is going to communicate with this OBD device. It's going to have 3 phases. It's going to have the pre-drive, during the drive, and after the drive. So for pre-drive, before the driver even starts his trip, it's going to give you a notification. This is what the notification is. It says, alert, we see that you started your engine. Please make sure to buckle up. If you're in car mode, make sure all your passengers are buckled up and watch out for pedestrians. If you're in motorcycle mode, it'll say something like, please strap on your helmet. During the drive, it's going to stay mostly in the background. There's going to be no notifications to distract the driver. It's going to record telematic information such as average speed, average braking distance, and average acceleration. It's also going to be able to detect whether airbags are deployed and be able to communicate through a phone. It doesn't have to be a smartphone. Any type of phone will do. Communicate with that phone through to EMS, and so we'll be able to greatly reduce response time from EMS to the site of the accident. After the drive is when we're going to have our biggest impact as far as driver behavior goes. They're going to get a summary screen like this, and it's going to try to impact driving behavior and give positive reinforcement for good driving behavior, and sort of a gentle nudge towards safe driving behavior if they're not safe. So for this driver, he drove about 80 kilometers an hour average speed. He did 17 harsh brakes, and he had an average acceleration of 10 meters per second squared, which is pretty harsh. So they had a 2 out of 5-star classification. The 5-star classification is something for the driver to be able to gauge how they're driving, but it also plays into our part with our corporate sponsorship partnership with the 5 main insurance brokers within Nicaragua. The insurance companies fundamentally want to make money, and they make money by keeping as much premium as possible. So the less claims they have to pay, the more money they can make. So we're going to partner with the insurance companies and promise them that they'll be able to reduce the claim payout that they're going to have to do, and in return, all they will offer is safe drivers who score 5 stars or above a discount. So it'll be more of an incentive for these drivers to drive safe and to make sure that all their driving habits are within proper etiquette. We're also going to partner with Macesa, La Esperanza, and community leaders and government. La Esperanza specifically is going to be our go-to NGO for school education, and that's going to play a part in our rollout in the second half of the first year. So in the second half, we're going to have the initial distribution of our app and the telematic devices. Nicaraguan driver's license expire every 5 years, so theoretically there will be a 20% turnover rate in driver's licenses. So that's how we're going to be targeting this app rollout. We're going to offer these drivers who are renewing their license a chance to get a discount on their premiums. And so by giving them this chance to save money, we're going to have a theoretical 20% enrollment rate by the end of the first year. We're also going to start public awareness of our program, and we're also going to hit primary school education. This is going to involve a video game developed here at UAB by Dr. Schwebel. It's going to be, so this is a version of it. And so what it is the kids have poor spatial speed recognition, and so they're not able to properly tell how fast a car is coming and whether they have enough time to cross the street. So what this app does, this game does, is it lets the children demonstrate this fact without putting them in any actual danger. So they'll be able to learn good, safe crossing behavior. This is going to be a two-stage series. So initially we did a cardboard virtual reality game with smartphones, and we're going to be able to distribute it. We're going to go from school to school and sort of teach each classroom safe driving behavior through this app. Also, with the money that we receive from UNICEF, there is a big simulation machine here at UAB as well, and we'll purchase that, and we'll also be taking that around, so it'll be a more engaging, more something cool for the kids to get onto and play around with, as well as learn driving behavior. And this is going to bring us to year 2. And this is our major partnership with MESESA. So helmet safety in Nicaragua is severely lacking. I mean, just from this picture alone, you have four passengers and only one is wearing a helmet. So this is going to be a major problem that we need to address. So with MESESA, they are a motorcycle equipment company. So we're going to be able to purchase 50,000 helmets. They're relatively cheap. They're about $5 a pop, and we're going to be able to distribute them to the population of Granada. And through this, we're going to instill a culture of helmet wearing and proper notice for personal protective equipment. There's going to be another increase in the telematic device adoption with another 20% of driver's license re-enrollment. And we're also going to begin our ad campaign so the general public becomes more and more aware of what we're trying to do with this app. There's also going to be a community day of action where we partner with local community leaders, and we talk to them and tell them if they can identify what problem areas within the roads that need to be fixed, big potholes or whatever, and they can bring together a group of volunteers, then we would provide the supplies and logistics in order to fix this pothole. And so we would be able to have a wide impact with very minimal cost to us. And this brings us to year 3. So this is when we're really going to start to affect change on a government level. We're going to have our baseline data analysis from our app. So our app is collecting all this data, and so we're going to be able to compare years 1, 2, and 3 and see driving behavior increasing to more and more safe standards. So we're going to see an increase from an average of 2 stars to an average of 3.5 stars, whatever that is. And so we're going to bring this data to the government, and we're going to talk to them about making our app and our device an opt-out enrollment option through the insurance companies. So what this means is that every driver will be automatically enrolled in this program by the end of our 4th year, and they would have to specifically opt out of the program in order not to receive the discount. We're also going to expand our education to the churches. So I talked about bringing that large virtual reality system. So we're going to set up shop with the community leaders, and they're going to go in and teach all these kids after Sunday school how to better cross the road. So we'll have a wider reach through education. In years 4 and 5, we're going to have the implementation of the policies, which is going to include our opt-out policy, as well as stricter seatbelt laws for passengers and better helmet laws. We're going to have 90% of the population enrolled due to the opt-out program, and our final assessment and expansion after our massive success in Granada.
So to summarize, using the socio-ecological model, first on an individual level, we want to keep instilling safe driving behavior and create a sense of responsibility for everyone in the environment for those safe roads. And next, on the interpersonal level, we want to continue the community effort for the roads and the infrastructure, as well as keep up the community leaders' ownership for the upkeep and the maintenance. We also want to, for the community and organizational level, keep the school and church efforts in partnership that we established in the beginning, as well as insurance and NGO collaborations, such as with the Motoshop VRC Alliance, which, as you can see in this ad, promotes safety on the roadways. And then finally, on the policy level, after we have gathered data, we'd like to alter seatbelt laws to include all passengers. Right now, backseat passengers are not included, and as we know, that is mostly children. And then we'd also like to create a new standard for helmet laws. It is not required for the helmets to be fastened, and we'd like to create that change within the government.
So for our budget, our initial budget was $2 million, and we hit right under $2 million for all the things we needed to implement our intervention. And so with the extra $500,000 that we received from UNICEF, we dedicated that to the VR simulation pads. So we would assume it would be about $100,000 for one simulation pad. So we would buy 5 of those, and they would travel throughout Granada and after expansion throughout Nicaragua. So for assessment and impact, we want to make sure that our intervention is effective and that it is doing what we want it to do. So we would do that through measures in driving behavior and EMS response time. So through driving behavior, our analysis of the data that we're collecting from our app, we would hope to see an increase in the classification rating. So from years 1 compared to year 1 to year 5, we would hope to see higher star ratings. And we would also like to see a decrease in your average speed, the number of harsh brakes, and your average acceleration. And so for EMS response time, so our device is essentially supposed to detect your airbag deployment and automatically contact EMS services once they detect that. So from the time of the call to the arrival on site of the accident, we would hope to see a decrease in that, which will hopefully lead to less mortality from road accidents. And then overall impact, the overall goal is to reduce the morbidity and mortality, create a safer road environment. There is a 5% decrease in GDP from road-related injuries and accidents, so we would hope to see an increase in that for an incentive for government to get involved. And we like to set up a framework for future development regarding infrastructure and such. And then areas of improvement, there's always room to improve, so we want to be quick to identify any problems. So if there's an issue with our app, we want to make sure that we can identify what that issue is and be quick to respond to it so it doesn't have any negative effects on our intervention. And we want to make sure we identify ways to keep stakeholders involved, keep community leaders involved in this even after the 5 years.
So a big thing for us was to make sure that this intervention was sustainable beyond the 5 years that we have projected it to be. So a way we'll do that is by creating a steady stream of revenue from the advertisements that will be showing on the sides of our apps. So Motoshop VRC that we're partnering with for ads, Masesa for the helmets, Michelin and Goodyear all have stakes in the motor vehicle industry, which is why they would be advertising. And then continuation of the outreach programs. We want to keep educating the children, new children that keep coming in, so that the education never ends and it'll stay with them as they go older. And finally, the PERI process we believe is very important to keep the sustainability of our app and our telematic device. So that just means throughout the intervention as a whole, any problems that arise, we need to pinpoint them. We need to figure out the causes that they would arise from, and then come up with thorough recommendations that we can have to fix whatever those problems are. And next, implement whatever the strongest recommendation is. And then finally, reevaluate our intervention as a whole and relaunch in a better